everybody. Welcome to a Thursday edition of Box Seats. Good afternoon. I'm your host, Frank Holder. I'm here with you. Of course, you guys know what we do. Box Seats is a show where we mix comedy up with sports. Let me introduce you to the guys who are going to be able to bring you some of the comedy in the show today. First up is my man, comedian known as Fig. Fig, how you doing today? How's everything, brother?
Hey, man, it's good, man. I'm celebrating this lovely holiday, man.
It's a holiday? I didn't know it was a holiday. Okay.
Yeah, it was my wife's birthday. Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, that's a good idea. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Okay, next up is my man, Rodney Perry. Rodney Perry, how you doing today, brother? How's everything?
Happy birthday, Mrs. Fig.
What up, RP? Thank you, brother.
And lastly, I got to bring in one of the guests who can definitely sit in for somebody. Whoever's not in for the day, my man Amir can sit in for whoever can't, make it for the day. First of all, I appreciate Amir sitting in, and today he's sitting in for talent. So he is one of our sports. What do you call these guys? A sports specialist. That's what I'm gonna call him.
Salute, gentlemen. Fig, happy birthday to your wife, sir.
Thank you, brother Amir.
Always.
All right, let me get the show started off. You guys already know how we do
my show too, man. I appreciate you.
So this is what we do. We always start off with the COVID report, and today's COVID report is going to be probably not shocking to anybody, but I saw the news this morning that 10,000 volunteers who were set to officially be working the Tokyo Olympics have officially dropped out. That's 10,000 volunteers. That's basically saying almost all the volunteers who normally would handle the Olympics have all dropped out officially of the Olympics. So I don't know how much longer the Olympics is going to be officially on tap to start, but if all those volunteers dropped out, there's going to be some issues, I think. Fig, what's your thoughts?
Hey, man, look. People with jobs that were getting paid opted out because of COVID. So now you got volunteers. You're like, man, I ain't about to get sick for free.
Right.
I don't blame them, man. And listen, volunteering is nice, and that's all, the humanitarian thing to do, or the good thing to do, nice to give service and volunteer your time, but not in the pandemic. No.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that part. Rodney Perry, what's your thoughts? Yeah, 10,000 volunteers has opted out. They're like, I'm not doing that today. I'm not doing it.
I mean, to me, I'm always looking at global indicators about this pandemic, and on one hand, we're being made to think that things are back to normal, and then you see something like this, you got to go, yo, this ain't normal at all. So this is a little scary to me. I don't know about y'all.
Yeah, honestly, Rodney Perry, I'm on the lines with you. I'm like, this is a little scary to me too, because when 10,000 volunteers who they know more about what's going on and they're being told the news directly, when that 10,000 volunteers opt out of the Olympics, it makes all my antennas go up. Amir, what's your thoughts, brother?
I agree. I think that again, you have to err on the side of caution, when it comes to this situation. It probably isn't, or may not be as crazy as it was, obviously, at the height of this thing. But that doesn't mean that there still aren't some concerns out there, and that people shouldn't take their health seriously. So I tend to go with what the people are saying and how they feel in terms of making sure their health is in order. Man, this is serious out here. We can't take this lightly.
Right. And check this out. Yesterday, I was talking to you guys. I mentioned to you guys that Coach K was retiring. Now, here's the funny thing. I don't think anybody's even grazing on. I'm going to start with you, Fig. Coach K officially announces his retirement when the official USA basketball was supposed to start heading over there and start getting together and playing. Meanwhile, he's supposed to also be recruiting for Duke. But the first order of business for him and his team was head over to Japan and start to sort out the players and get the sense of what's going on, and then come back to Vegas, get your team together and play, and then move the whole team out to play in USA basketball in the Olympics. I don't know if one thing has something to do with the other. It may not, but my thoughts are it might. I mean, we can't overlook the fact that he's like, you know what, I'm retiring, because he's got the pedigree to retire. You know what I mean? So I don't know. What's your thoughts?
Absolutely, man. Here's the thing. After hearing what you said, like, it didn't dawn on me until you actually just said it, but it makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's nothing that you want to dismiss. Maybe Coach K figured, like, look, I want to retire, but I made a commitment to to the Olympic organization and NBA basketball. And what I will do is I will fulfill my obligation, to the team and the players. And then when it's over, I'll retire. Mm-hmm. Fast forward, they're, it seems as though they're going to cancel the whole thing or postpone it, push it back. And Coach K said, well, that was the only reason I was staying this extra year anyway. So I might as well just go on now.
Mm-hmm. Rodney Perry, your thoughts on Coach K announcing his retirement? Does the USA basketball take a hit? I think it does. What's your thoughts?
I mean, he old, so it's time. It's time for him to go. Mm-hmm. Coach K been around. I mean, only thing about this when guys get advanced in age is like, what else you gonna do? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? He gonna go home, get on his wife's nerves, and it just he need to stay where he at. But I get it, and Fig makes some sense. Of course, I never agree with Fig, but well said.
I mean, what's your thoughts on this, brother? How you think about it?
Well, you know what's so funny? I'm gonna go a little bit different in this regard. I think that probably does play a part in it, but I think what also is playing a part in it is, they haven't been doing so well the last few years, meaning, the Duke organization and their team. And then when you add in, what you guys have been bringing to the table with these new leagues that are supposed to be coming, down the pike, whether it's the high school situation and all that stuff, they know the recruiting situation probably won't be what it used to be. Why continue to show up and, try to keep a program going where you won't really be able to put the pieces in place, as you've been accustomed to doing. So I think it's a combination of all of those things. But, to everybody's point, we got to give Coach K his just due because he's been a formidable coach and a great teacher, for so many years,
I mean, you hit on a great point because honestly, I think he didn't want to go through that struggle because there's a couple of leagues that are launching this year too that nobody's talking about. Coach K retiring with the situation going on in Japan right now. He's going up against 2 or 3 other high school basketball leagues that are trying to get professionals. And of course, he got to deal with the NBA every single year and then trying to recruit, and then he's 60 plus years old. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. Maybe he
might be older than that. He's older than that.
You know what? I think you're right. I think he's 74. I'm sorry. I think he's 74 years old. I forgot about that part. I think he's 74. Let me bring up the last topic before we bring in our guest because I see our guest in the waiting room and I want to bring in our guest. Last topic I want to start out with you first, Fig, is the USFL has officially announced that they're getting ready to come back after 36 years. They're going to be going up against obviously the XFL, which is with The Rock, and the AAF, which is another football league. I don't see how any of these leagues are going to make it, to be honest with you. But now we had one football league. Now, literally, thanks to Fox getting ready to relaunch the XFL, we about to have 3. Fig, your thoughts with this?
Man, it just seems like a lot, man. When you said it, I was like, well, wait a minute. I thought these guys were teaming up together, but clearly there's 2 other organizations that are teaming up together to put football out there. So I'm like, man, I'm thinking to myself, the only thing that comes to mind is that there must be a lot of football players that don't get an opportunity to get into the NFL. And this is their opportunity to play on a professional level, meaning getting paid and, just on a lesser level, because we all consider, the NFL the cream of the crop or the best of the best. And I would imagine that the guys that don't make it just, will try their hand at some of these other other organizations.
Rodney Perry, what's your thoughts on this? Because to me, if you ask me, I think they all are going to end up merging. That's what I think is going to happen. What you think?
The NFL is never going to merge with anybody.
No, not the NFL. I'm talking about the merger. All the rest of them are going to merge to try to compete with the NFL. Well, what's your thoughts?
The XFL was actually pretty successful pre-pandemic, and it was really starting to kind of find some legs. And then the pandemic came and kind of shut it down. The USFL is making a resurgence. Would it help them maybe to merge? Probably, but these are 2 different businesses. I mean, I don't know if it is going to happen, but I like what the XFL was doing, and like Fig said, so many guys out there that want to play professional football that would do it for way less of the money, And so there's a lot of guys out there with those dreams of just playing their game. And so because of that, I think we got more than enough room for all three leagues.
All right. Amir, what's your thoughts?
You know what? I think, to both Rodney and Fig's points, and especially Fig's point, it makes me think of one of my favorite movies, The Replacements. That's like one of my favorite movies because you had a bunch of regular cats, from all walks of life. Obviously, like you said, just wanting to, have that opportunity to play on a professional level. And even if it was, only for, but a short time, you fulfill that, that itch. We obviously know, as you said, the NFL is the cream of the crop. But, for guys who enjoy specific things, to say that you've done it in any way, shape, or form, sometimes is all you need. But I do think that there's room for all of them. I do think that the chances of the two other leagues merging is probably a lot more closer to happening than, we think, and much more so because what you'll do is you'll have even, better talent between those two leagues now facing off against one another versus, everything just being watered down. So I think it's great for football.
All right, I was getting ready to bring in our guest. He dropped out, so I can't bring in the guest. So we're gonna keep the show going on.
Can we speak to this, Frank? That Amir actually agreed more with me than Fig that time.
Okay, I definitely agree with that part.
I don't like him saying he agreed with me less, but I just throwing it out there.
Yeah, listen, I can't even knock it. I think he did agree with everything else. Fig, I need you to reach out to my man, make sure we bring him back in, because he was coming up right now, but he bailed out. So let's get ready to continue on with the show. We talked about USFL. I will say this in the next topic. The Dodgers scored 11 runs in the first inning. I'm going to start with you, Rodney, while Fig reaches out. Woo! 11 runs in the first inning. So, Rodney Perry, should baseball be called after you hit so many amount of runs? And because you know what I mean? Like, because ain't nobody, if you get 11 runs in the first inning, the game's over. I think, like, that should be a wrap, like, right? What should baseball do?
It ain't over till it's over. Man, let me tell you something. We've been watching no-hitters for the last few weeks. I love it. Score. We need scoring. And 11 runs in the first inning, beat them to death.
Okay, you beat them to death? That's okay.
Now, when I played Little League Baseball, there was a slaughter rule, but not in the major leagues. You got to play better.
Wait a minute. There should be a slaughter rule in the major leagues. There should be. Like 11, even in the major leagues, you're not coming back from 11. You're just not, I don't think.
I wrote 100 then. Not no 11.
Oh, man. Fig, what's your thoughts?
11 points is pretty much the rest of the team forfeit. When the last time we see two teams score in double figures in a baseball game? I'm not sure that happened ever in the history of Major League Baseball. Maybe 2 times. How long baseball been in what, about 100 years? So maybe twice that 2 teams scored in double figures like that, man. What you get 11 home runs? Man, listen. They'll let the fans go home. They give free hot dogs to the losing team and let them go home. That's
right, let me bring in my man Brooklyn Mike. Brooklyn Mike, man. First of all, thanks for joining the show. What's up, man? How's everything? How you doing today, brother?
I'm great. Thank you, guys. You guys are interested, man. Thanks for having me, man. I was just listening. I was like, yeah, I like this.
Yeah, man. We try to
actually still at homeschool teacher, so later for my son, huh?
Brooklyn Mike, first of all, thank you for joining the show, man. We like to always have a great conversation about sports with a couple of comics. They throw that in that thing in there. But since your name is Brooklyn Mike, man, I'm gonna jump into a conversation about the NBA and talk about the Brooklyn Nets, man. I want to know what's your thoughts on the Brooklyn Nets, how they demolished the Celtics, and how far you think they're going to jump up into the NBA season. So, Brooklyn Mike, the floor is yours. What you think? Mike, you there?
Man, we can see your ear, man. What's up? Where you at?
My son is Can you hear me?
No, we can't hear you. We can't hear you too good, bro.
Hello?
Yeah,
You
okay.
freezing, man.
Somebody's stealing his Wi-Fi, Fig. Somebody's stealing his Wi-Fi.
I think he got his son on.
Is that what it is? Okay,
I think his son is homeschooling. Yeah.
Oh, his son is homeschooling. Okay, so we know how tough that is and everything else. So, because we were talking about Brooklyn, I'm gonna start with you, Fig, with the next question. Brooklyn beat the Celtics. Yesterday afternoon, we were talking about the Celtics going on, obviously a coaching, search and everything else. Let me just throw this out there that I didn't see this anywhere on any, national news media format. But the Celtics are interviewing Kara Lawson. People don't know that, but Kara Lawson is a woman. Kara Lawson also was an assistant coach for the Celtics. She was the first assistant coach on any NBA bench, and now she's the head coach of Duke. And she left the Celtics when the Celtics went to the bubble. She left immediately when they lost last year. The Celtics are interviewing her, and some Celtics players and some ex-Celtics have said she was the best coach on the team at the time, even better than Brad Stevens. Of course, some of those players did not want to put their name out there, but if the players respect a woman coach, I think it's about time for a woman coach to be coach. And what a better thing right now than to coach the Boston Celtics if the team already respects you, if they already know you respect you. Fig, what's your thoughts on the NBA? Is the NBA prepared right now to have a woman as a head coach? What's your thoughts?
Man, I mean, look, this is 2021. I mean, for God's sakes, man. I don't know how much more women need to do to prove that they're capable of doing some jobs. I mean, of course, not all, but they're more than capable of doing some jobs that men do on a high level. So if she's qualified and she knows the game and she can get these guys in a position to win, I don't care what. Look, I don't care what sex she is, male, female, whatever. If you can do the job, do the damn job. It's not a physical job. It's not like she got to lift, 500 pounds. It's not like she got to be able to dunk a basketball like these guys. You're just putting these guys in the schemes, in the position to win. If she could do it, I'm all for it. Let's make it happen.
Right, Brooklyn Mike. The conversation.
I did pay my cable, and they promised to cut it off after this, so I don't know what's going on. I think I just caught the last part of the female coaching, correct?
Well, here's the question. The question is, because the Brooklyn Nets beat the Celtics are now searching for a head coach. Kara Lawson was on their bench as one of the assistant coaches, and she recently left at the beginning of the season to head coach this Duke University. The Celtics are interviewing her now for the head coach position to come back and be the head coach because already the Celtics players already respect her. Is the league ready, and especially the Celtics, are they ready for now a head coach? And what do you think would be the response with the NBA and the other NBA players if a woman was to be a head coach of an NBA team?
Right. So I'm going to piggyback on what Fig said. I think, to me, if she's qualified, fine. But I think right now with these organizations in sports, it's more political than anything. So a female, if she's qualified, bring her in. It's interesting to see what they're going to say around the league as far as the players, but I see them pushing that in slowly to all the professional sports.
Right. I agree with you on that one. Rodney Perry, man, what's your thoughts on this? Because it could literally capsize a team or get the entire team to galvanize around this woman because she's the first. You know what I mean? Their mamas would be like, listen, you better do good because she's the first. You know what I mean? It could go one way really good or it could go one way really bad. What's your thoughts, Rodney Perry?
I mean, the fact that we had to have this conversation has proved that there's issues still in this country regarding race and sex. And so, sure, she should be able to coach a team. It ain't like you can't coach if you got breasts, or you need a penis to coach. I mean, the woman they should have been had women coaches. So the idea that it will affect the future if she ends up not being good is part of the problem. So this lady seems to be the best candidate right now, and if she is successful, look for more ladies in the future to get this position.
All right, Amir, I'm gonna throw this question to you, and I'm gonna say honestly, in my opinion, I think they should get her hands down because I love her. I mean, I don't even know that much more about the other candidates and who they're gonna do, but if they get her, Amir, I think that's the knockout punch. What you think, Amir?
I think again, we're talking about coaching. We're talking about not only forwarding the culture, but we're talking about the opportunity to just do something that you love. Obviously, if she's already been an assistant coach and been, in that energy as far as trying to, move into that position on a grander scale, she knows the X's and O's. Basketball is about X's and O's. If you watch the WNBA, you see in the WNBA they probably have more, sound basketball than even the NBA. Why? Because the NBA has seemingly more athletic guys. But the WNBA has X's and O's. You still see bounce passes. You still see chest passes. You still see simple things that make the game exciting and fun. And if she can bring that back to the forefront and get some of these, gentlemen who are super athletic to get some fundamentals to add to their athletics, then we're looking at the game growing and continuing to be what we've known it to always be, fun and exciting. So I think they should give her a shot.
Brooklyn Mike, let me ask you, Ben, what do you think about the Brooklyn Nets? Go ahead, Mike.
Can I jump in? I'm sorry. But
yeah, go ahead.
It's going to be interesting how now, and I don't have a problem with women becoming coaches, but I'm curious to see how now even more Black male coaches who are being overlooked, who women would start to, the argument wouldn't be there's no Black coaches being hired, but now there are more women coaches, if I'm making sense.
Right. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. That could cause some other rift, is because now the Black coaches got to deal with not only other white coaches, now they got to deal with women, because now, obviously there's only so many coaches. You know what I mean? Look, there's 32 teams in the league, and each team has 7 or 8 assistant coaches on the bench. You know what I mean? And it's easy for a Black coach to be an assistant coach. It's not easy for a Black coach to be a head coach. But let me circle back, Mike, and ask you, what do you think about the Brooklyn Nets? Because we started out asking you, your name is Brooklyn Mike, you Brooklyn. What do you think about your boys, the Brooklyn Nets? What's going on with them?
I'm loving the fact that they brought excitement to New York, and the Knicks, for whatever reason, started to act right this year. I totally think we got a chance to go to the NBA championship now.
Okay, I don't know what happened to him.
I know what happened. He was about to say something about the Knicks going to the championship. That's what happened.
No, he was talking about the Nets.
No, he was talking about the Nets.
He was talking about the Knicks.
He's back. He's bouncing back and forth. We got to make sure next time we get him to come on, we got to clarify his Wi-Fi. There you go. What were you saying, Mike?
I apologize. Somebody in Wi-Fi don't like the Brooklyn Nets, but I think we have a chance.
All right. Let me ask Fig. The Knicks lost last night. They're officially out of the playoffs. Let me ask you this question: do you think New Yorkers would have loved to see the Knicks or the Nets in the playoffs if they had a choice? Because right now, to me, I'm looking from outside looking in. I'm gonna say this: if somebody had to ask me, I think everybody was galvanizing behind the Knicks to make it in further in the playoffs. You know what I mean? I'm just a Celtics fan looking from outside looking in. It seemed like when the Knicks was playing playoff basketball, it was electrified. When the Nets was playing playoff basketball, it seemed like nobody cared. Maybe it's just me. What's your think?
The thing is that New York is a Knicks town, and it's been that way for 50 plus years, over 50 years, since going all the way back to Willis Reed, Clyde Frazier, David. Look, this is a Knicks town. The Nets been here a couple of years, maybe 3-4 years at the most. I don't remember the exact amount of time, but they just got here transplanted from New Jersey. So the Knicks has a bigger impact on the city than the Nets. Everybody was excited about it, but here's the thing. If you're a New Yorker, the one thing that we're used to is doubling up. New York is called New York, doubled up. We got the Yankees and the Mets. We got the Giants and the Jets. We got the Islanders and the Rangers. Like, we're used to having 2 teams. If you're a Knicks fan and the Knicks are out of the playoffs, which they are, then of course you're not going to hate on the Nets. I mean, they're in Brooklyn. I was born and raised in Brooklyn. I'm Knicks first. But I'm not going to hate on the Nets. I mean, since the Nets are the only one left, you think I'm not going to root for the Nets? They're from New York. That's New York. Before I leave, let me just say this one thing. Kudos to a Black coach of the Atlanta Hawks, McMillan. for doing the job that he did with that team, because he came in during the middle of the year and turned that whole organization around. Kudos to him doing a hell of a job. You know, even though they beat my team, he's a black coach, and I want to give him his flowers now.
Rodney Perry, according to what Fig said, they got two teams and everything else. To me, you know, you got two shots. Unlike other people, you got two shots to win an NBA title. You got the Nets and you got the Knicks. Everybody else got one. You know what I mean? So it's New York and LA. They got two shots to win an NBA title. So I don't know. I mean, what's your thought, Rodney Perry?
Here goes, man. And I'm not a New Yorker, but I know tons of New Yorkers. New York is Knicks first all day, every day. And I think the Knicks are just new. They're the new guy on the block. And how about this? The players haven't even had a time to immerse into the community yet. Like, you haven't seen any press because of the pandemic. You know, you can't just go out and become a part of the fabric of the city yet. And so if the Nets can hold on to win this championship, it'll go a long way to infusing them into the New York culture, I think.
You hear that? You hear that, man? He said infusing them into the New York culture. And I think Rodney Perry hit. If I wish I had a bell, I'd go like ding, ding, ding. I think the Brooklyn Nets would be more assimilated, you know, like the Transformers, assimilated into the culture if they win the championship. But Amir, if Brooklyn loses the championship this year, they could be considered one of the worst teams to ever be assembled and one of the biggest collapses, I think, in almost in NBA history, because there's never been a powerful team put together to win the NBA championship ever. What's your thoughts? Maybe I'm wrong. What's your thoughts?
You know what's so funny? First of all, to Rodney's point, I think he's absolutely spot on with saying if they win, that would infuse them. The second thing I'll say to that, though, is this. If you're a New Yorker, you know one thing about Brooklyn. Brooklyn is, first of all, they consider to be their own world. They're not all other four boroughs, we are who we are, but Brooklyn is its own nation. So y'all need to understand that Brooklyn was going to be Brooklyn no matter what happened. Even if the rest of us didn't get on board, people were going to root for Brooklyn because that's just what Brooklyn does.
Right.
But to the point about, you know, what you're saying about, you know, the team and if they collapse. My only concern with the Brooklyn Nets is from a defensive standpoint. We obviously know that offensively speaking, they're beyond reproach when it comes to their offensive prowess. I'm just concerned, will they ever have the ability to stop some people, especially in key and critical moments during the game? Because that's the only Achilles heel that they seem to have to me. Now, other people may feel it's other things. You know, some people might say it's the bench and so forth and so on. But I just think that defensively, they're not so strong defensively. And that may be what doesn't allow them to, you know, prosper as far as winning a championship, especially this year. So we just got to wait and see.
You know, I agree with what you're saying, Amir. We do have to wait and see. But maybe it's just me. But if the team gets assembled like that with the three best players in this era and everything else, if they don't win it all, I think, you know what, the billionaire who owns the team will be more upset than anybody because he's paying a whole lot of money for that to happen. Let me ask you guys this. Let me just say this and start this. The Clippers right now are on the brink right now, right? They are another assembled team right now with there's a lot of money on the line right now to pay them. They're assembled. Fig, I'm going to start with you. Dallas has them on the brink right now. Dallas looks really, really good right now. They look better than they did last year. If the Clippers lose this year, will Kawhi leave? Will the team implode? Will Tyronn Lue get fired? I mean, I think everything's going to go implode, explode, however you want to say it. I think they on a path of some serious destruction, in my opinion. What's your thoughts, Fig?
I think the thing is that it would be an epic meltdown if they don't make it to at least the Western Conference Finals. Like if they make it to the Western Conference Finals and they lose there, that would be quite different. You know, what they did in the bubble, they was expected to go all the way in the bubble last year. We know what happened after being up 3-1. It would be an epic meltdown. I don't know. I forget Steve Ballmer, I believe his name is, the owner of the Clippers. I don't know if he's going to fire everybody. Man, but it would be really difficult because he's putting out a lot of money. I believe they're over the salary cap with what it is that they're doing. He's paying a lot of money, and you know what? Billionaires don't like to lose. He's putting out that money to win, especially these guys, like you said, the Nets and the Clippers. They manufactured these teams for the sole purpose of winning, putting these big names together and these big name stars. So if they lose, rather, it'd be a meltdown of epic proportions for the Nets and also the Clippers. I think it'd be an epic failure if they don't at least make it to the finals.
Rodney Perry, you agree or disagree? Because my thought is the Clippers have to at least make it to the finals. They have to make it to the finals. If they don't, there's a problem.
Well, it's a problem. Clippers ain't making it to no finals. They're not gonna get out this round. They got their damn hands full with Dallas. And the mistake they made when they was waiting, we don't want to play the Lakers. Go on, let them go. Y'all, that's disrespectful. You disrespect the team and you wake them up. And them guys, Dallas, Texas woke up, and when they woke up, they looked in their hand. They had a handful of ass whooping, and they gave it to the Clippers. And I like the Clippers, man. You can't deny, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, but I mean, they're no Nets. They're not put together like the Nets, but they still a good team that should be doing better. But that team obviously has some issues that we can't see with a naked eye.
The funny thing is I agree with everything Rodney Perry said again, which is shocking. But Amir, I will even go out as far as saying they made their first biggest mistake they made was firing Coach Doc Rivers last year when he was crazy.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
You got to listen. When you put together this team, you got to have some continuation with the team. You got to have some kind of mesh with them. Doc Rivers didn't even have a whole team together like that because of COVID last year. He didn't have time to work. And that next year he got fired. So I don't know, Amir. You tell me what your thoughts are. You tell me what you think, Amir.
Well, I think first and foremost, to the fact that the Clippers and like you said, some of these teams have been put together in the ways that they've been put together. All of that makes sense, and especially when we look at it on paper. But we have to remember that, to Rodney's point that he just made, sometimes there are some things that probably go on behind the scenes that we're not privy to. Obviously, because we don't play for teams, we're not in the organizations and so forth and so on. So egos may be, stroked one way or not being stroked another way, and that may be, because of some dissension. But I think the biggest thing, for the Clippers is the fact that the West is not a cakewalk. We keep acting as though the West is a cakewalk. You got a number of teams stacked from the top to the bottom in the West who are formidable opponents. So You got to bring your A game every night. You can't afford to have a night where you off, whether it's shooting, rebounding, or whatever the case may be, in order to put your team in a position to win. And that's what all of these teams are up against. Dudes are showing up haphazardly, meaning, sometimes you show up and you kind of, into the game. If you're not locked and loaded, when you step on that court, you could get blown out in that first quarter and be just praying for the clock to run out and the game to be over. And that's what you're up against in the West, to me. But, well, again, we got to wait and see what the Clippers are made of and what the other teams that are playing against them are made of, to not see that they get to where they're trying to get to.
Right. And another news, too, speaking of people who are moving on, you know what? Washington lost officially to the Sixers and everything else. And my heart is right now, Fig, is going out bleeding for Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook, because of the simple fact being those dudes have seen another year come, and now they are in a certain situation, especially Westbrook, because he's in a contract situation. And the Wizards, they have to do something, Fig. They got to do something. Either they have to trade Russell Westbrook, they got to trade Bradley Beal and start all over. They don't really have that much money to build around them, but they got to do something. And Bradley Beal, Russell Westbrook, Dame Lillard, these guys are on the path of never winning an NBA championship at the way that they are on. I'm saying Dame because of Portland, the situation they're facing and everything else. These guys are on the path of never winning the NBA championship. If you're Russell or you're Brad, do you demand now to get a trade to get the hell up out of there? Or what do you do? Because Washington is in that they're right now at their crossroads where the team is going to either have to scratch the whole thing and rebuild, or try to build around those dudes, which they don't even have a lot of money to do. So what's your thoughts, Vic?
Man, I got to put on my GM hat. Here's the thing, man. these guys, like we just talked about the Clippers, we just talked about the Nets. That was a manufactured team too. I mean, you just put them together, no chemistry, no opportunity to have them play, you know what I mean, a long period of time together, get to know each other, to build that kind of chemistry and camaraderie on the court where you know what the player is going to do or you know what the player is thinking. I mean, the truth of the matter is, I know that it seems like these big three teams is the way to go, but it doesn't really work as much as we like to think it does. I'd like to look back to a team like Golden State. They put their team together through the draft and then added a piece or two here and there. I think that is the best way to build your team. And we're going to see this year, because we have two teams that were artificially manufactured, and we're going to see how it works out. The only one that seems to work out time to time is a LeBron James team. It worked in the bubble with Anthony Davis. When he was in Cleveland, it seemed to work out. And then it worked out 2 times when he was in Miami. The rest of the time, those manufactured teams don't seem to do well. They just don't. And certainly with no degree of longevity. You're not going to have a dynasty with a manufactured team. It just doesn't work out.
Rodney Perry, your thoughts on this right now? What should the Wizards do with Bradley Beal, Russell Westbrook? Should they scratch those 2 dudes, cut them, and then start to rebuild again? Or should they try to build around them and do what Fig did? Because honestly, what Fig said is right. It's really hard to do manufacturing teams. I mean, they're at a crossroads. I don't even know what they should do. But if my GM hat was on, I'd trade Russell Westbrook and I'd trade Bradley Beal, get a ton of draft picks, and start from scratch, even though the fans wouldn't like it. That's what I would do, because they already, Russell's about to get a whole lot of money. But what would you do, Rodney?
Well, some players are just born in the wrong era. Whether it's the LeBron era or the KD era, some people are not going to get chips because they're not playing with those guys. And that's just the fact of the matter. Clyde Drexler never got a championship because he played in the Jordan era. So to answer your question, what should the Wizards do? They should maybe try to find a wizard, an actual wizard, and maybe then they can conjure up some sort of quality team. But in the meantime, Westbrook need to go get on, go run with LeBron or run with one of them big boys in Milwaukee or get out to Phoenix. He need to get on one of them teams that need a really dynamic scorer and get one of these chips, man.
Amir, I'm gonna throw it to you. I would love to see Bradley Beal on another powerful team that's just a guard away. I would absolutely love, because Bradley Beal is an amazing player, man. I think he has a lot of skills. I hate to see him go down the drain of one of those NBA players who never win a championship, and he's headed that way. Amir, what would you do if you have your GM cap on? You're heading up to Washington Wizards right now. Do you trade Bradley Beal and Russell? What do you do?
It's one of those things, just like Rodney said. Sometimes not only are you born into the wrong era, but it's to me, sometimes it's also a matter of egos. And I think we're not necessarily for Beal, but possibly for Russell Westbrook. Not that he's not a great teammate and all that stuff, because we haven't heard anybody say anything of that magnitude. But sometimes you may have to humble yourself in terms of how great you are and how great somebody else is, and say, look, if me sacrificing these few things will be for the greater good, then we have an opportunity here to do something amazing, because that's really what it works out to be. It's not always just about, like you said, manufacturing teams or putting together specific players. Sometimes you got to humble yourself, because greatness doesn't only just run in you, it runs in some of your contemporaries. Now, as far as the Washington Wizards is concerned, I just think that they are one of those teams that, unfortunately, because they have 2 polarizing figures in Beal and in Westbrook, I don't know if they can add another piece to that can come in there and, like I said, just say to himself, this is all I really need to do in order to help us elevate this thing. Even the players that are already there. You can't have a guy of Westbrook's magnitude who obviously passes the ball. The dude is a walking triple-double, and you're not doing things to work on your game so that you improve the team. That's part of the problem. When we looking at any of these teams, the real issue is what are some of these other, and especially role players, doing to make themselves better for the betterment of their team. And if you're not doing that, then what are we talking about?
Yeah, great point. Great point. Next point up, man, is the Lakers are playing. What's up, Vic?
No, I was just gonna say, Rodney, Clyde did look up and get one with Houston on the year when Michael Jordan was playing baseball. He did get that one.
Houston got 2 in those years, right?
Yeah, but Clyde was only on one of the squads.
Yeah, the second one.
Let me move on, man. Because I want to talk about the Lakers and the Suns, and I want to bring up this hypothetical and say this to you guys and start this whole thing running. If the Lakers lose, right? Do you think? I'll start with you, Fig. If the Lakers lose, number one, do you think that Los Angeles will look at this as a I don't want to say a bad year, but will they chalk it up as a bad year because of injuries? And will LeBron James retire? Because word is coming out of the camps now that his injuries is going to be hard to fight off, and that high ankle sprain he's really struggling with. Maybe they're building up an excuse in case they lose tonight. Who knows? But that's what word is coming out right now. I've seen it several times this morning. What do you think, Fig? What's your thoughts?
Well, the one thing is that I hate excuses because every team at some point has injuries. Every point, and a lot of times, unfortunately, it's in the playoffs and goes on to be into the finals if they make it. And we never make excuses for those teams. So I don't want any excuses. No excuses. But the thing is that how do you say a team that just came off a championship year, you have your 2 dominant stars have injuries at the most inopportune time, and then they don't win? How do you call it a failure? I mean, I don't see how it's a failure when Klay Thompson went down, Steph Curry, Kyrie, Kevin Love. I mean, last year with Dragic and Bam Adebayo in the championship, you get injuries. It's a part of the game. So it's not a failed year. You just got to come back. I mean, look, LeBron James has been there with Anthony Davis. Basically, this is their second year. The first year they got together, they won a championship. This year, Anthony Davis has a pretty serious injury with a groin. LeBron James has an ankle, a high ankle sprain. Players get injured. Just unfortunately, it's your 2 best players, so you're probably not going to win. It just is what it is. I think you come back and do it again next year.
Rodney Perry, Lakers look at this season as possibly not one of their best seasons because of the injuries. Or do you think LeBron James will retire? What do you think is going to happen if they lose to the Phoenix Suns, tonight? What's your thoughts?
Well, first of all, LeBron is not going to retire. I talked to him yesterday about it. He's really clear. He's like, yo, they think I'm gonna retire. I'm not. I'm like, all right. I didn't ask you that, but okay. Anyway, so yeah, LeBron is not retiring, and also, the Lakers is definitely a city of winners. You know, we talk about cities all the time, and some cities, if you don't win, it's a failure, and so everybody in a Laker uniform feels that way, whether it's the GM or the guys on the court, that not winning a chip, that's the only thing they're playing for. So it will be considered a failure if they don't win, but they can win. So why are we talking about this?
Okay, that's his. Man, what's your take on this, man?
It's funny. I got a smorgasbord of feelings about this. To Rodney's point, I think that, to add to LeBron's legacy and, what he's managed to do with the game thus far, I just don't see him giving up, in that manner. But to Fig's point about the fact that, like you said, injuries happen, and especially at this time of year when we're looking for, teams to be at their best. But the biggest thing, I think, to a point that you made a couple of weeks ago, Frank, and you've been, drumming this home, their bench. The real issue isn't LeBron and it isn't AD. The real issue is the rest of the team that had, 19, 20 or so games to get better, and they didn't.
Yeah.
And they didn't. That's really what the issue is. It isn't LeBron. It isn't AD. It's the other guys who sit on that bench. Kyle Kuzma still looks like somebody who either doesn't know how to play the game or he's just out there having fun. at this stage of the game. I don't understand that, sir. You've been playing long enough with these two great athletes to take the game a little more seriously. And then, like I said, some of the other players that are on that team, I'm trying to figure out how you didn't improve not one iota in 19 or 20 or so games where those two gentlemen were trying to get themselves back healthy. What were y'all doing?
Yeah, hold on, Fig. And not to mention Caldwell Pope. Caldwell Pope is injured tonight. He's not going to play either. So AD's not going to play tonight. Caldwell Pope's not going to play tonight. And you know, people are expecting them to still win because of who they are. Go ahead, Fig. What's your thought?
I think when you have two dominant players like a LeBron James and an Anthony Davis, it really look, honestly, I think it really is difficult for what some players call the others. You know what I mean? Because there's no system as to, like, a guy don't know when I'm getting in the game, where I'm gonna get my points, what it is that's really expected of me to do. It's no chemistry because it's all, you know, the Lakers are always making moves. You know, they brought in Andre Drummond, they brought in Gasol, and then they move in this one and that one. You don't know when they don't even play my man the sixth man of the year, Montrezl Harrell. Like, he hardly even gets in the game. It's, you know, we know basketball, Amir, I know you know basketball is a game of rhythm. And if you don't know your rhythm and your time and when you get in the game, how you gonna play and stuff like that, it throws everything. It'll take a decent player and make him look like a scrub. And I think that's what the problem is with the Lakers bench. I'm
not discounting what you said, but I'm gonna say this. I think the Lakers management did too much. And I'm gonna say this. Yeah. They already had Montrezl Harrell. Right. They did not have to get Drummond to add him to the. Montrezl Harrell literally 18 months ago was the sixth man of the year award. They should have played him, got him acclimated into the system. He would have been more acute of what's going on. Next thing you know, they had too many bigs, and then they had too many bigs who didn't understand the offense of what's going on. Then you throw in Andre Drummond, and then next thing you know, him and the other six, they have issues. Now there's some dissension in the locker room. It's just a lot of stuff was going on for the Lakers, and at the end of the day, like I've been saying, their bench has not been performing, hands down.
Frank, they really should have kept the team that they had last year. They should have kept the Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, Ron. That's where they messed up.
Yeah, I said that. Don't forget Danny Green and Rajon Rondo. They should have kept those dudes. If they had kept those dudes, they would definitely.
Hold on, gentlemen. The occupational hazard of winning is that people go and need and want more money.
No,
that's just a fact. And so I think what Amir said is probably most true. The guys that need to step up just haven't stepped up.
That's true.
A guy like Kuzma is an athletic, incredible player, but he can't find his way. And so when you think about AD and LeBron, yes, they suck up a lot of oxygen, but you got to figure out a way as a player to put an oxygen mask on and go out there and hit me. You ain't got to hit 10. You need to hit me 4 or 5 points.
Rodney Perry, I'm gonna say this to you. One thing, and Rajon Rondo was the only player they weren't going to be able to bring back because he wanted more money. The other three, the two guys who went to the Philly, Caldwell Pope and
JaVale McGee,
Danny Green, those guys would have all came back if they had offers, competent offers to come back. They didn't come back because the Lakers didn't want them.
Let's get all three of them. Danny Green choked several times in crunch situations. Bye-bye. We're looking at JaVale McGee, who constantly kicks the ball out of bounds. Constantly. I don't know why y'all acting like this dude is good.
He's not
His
bad.
mother is better. His mother is better.
Yeah, but she was, listen, his mother is better.
Took his mother. I would have took, hey, get your mama over here. We'll take her.
She's better playing against women, Rodney. She wouldn't play in the NBA.
We don't know that.
Yeah, she's good. She's good. She's a beast. I'm not good. She was good.
Let me move on because I want to get this last topic in here. It's off the Lakers. I want to get the last topic in here, and I want to make sure. I want to see what you guys are talking about. What you guys think about this one? Because yesterday I told you guys about Bob Brinkley talking about the Mets pitcher and everything else, the do-rags and everything else. He had to make an official apology. And to the Mets, Marcus Stroman. Yesterday, I told you he talked about the do-rag and everything else. He had to make an official apology. He did it on the air, everything else. I saw it. To me, Fig, you got 60 seconds. It was one of the most insincere apologies I've ever seen. I mean, I thought it was horrible. I thought if an apology is so bad to me, I was always raised, you might as well keep it. Don't even bother. If it ain't gonna be sincere, don't even bother. I don't want to hear it. But that's just me. Some people think at least he said an apology, so they accept it, and he's able to keep his job. Fig, you got 60 seconds. What you think?
Basically, Frank, the same mindset is present. The fact that he talked about a do-rag and a dude wearing a chain, and he's like, I have to do this apology. I really don't want to do it. And you heard it. And that's all it is. You heard his disdain for what he was seeing and what he had to do to keep his job.
Exactly. Rodney Perry, what's your thoughts?
Hey, man, the question came up yesterday. Is the guy racist? Is he making racist comments? Probably. He's an old white man in America. He's probably a racist. And, I'm glad he had to apologize. If he say one more thing, we're going to institute a slapping policy.
Amir, what's your thoughts? 60 seconds, bro.
Hey, like anything and everything, we're in a world now where reactions have consequences. Long story short, you're gonna say things that don't necessarily fit the ideologies of what's going on in the world right now. There's gonna be some consequences for it. That's what happens. That's how it goes.
Right. Thank you all for doing the show today, man. That's the show today. I appreciate you all for doing it. I got to thank Brooklyn Mike for joining, even though his Wi-Fi didn't want him to stay in the show. I want to thank Amir for sitting in for talent. Thank you all. Thanks, Rodney Perry. Thanks you all to Fig. We appreciate y'all. Fig, tell everybody out there how they can follow you, bro.
Hey, man, listen, you want to follow me? It's very easy. You can follow me on all social media platforms at Comedian Fig. And Monday through Friday, right here on the box seats, 1 to 2 p.m., we the best damn sports show on TV.
Rodney Perry, how can they follow you, bro?
I'm easy to find. RodneyPerry.com is the website. Rodney Perry Live on all social media. My show, Hot Topics, goes down 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight on my YouTube channel, and that's it. Rodney Perry Live as well.
Rodney Perry, you got something going on with that show you're doing, man. I like that. Amir, tell everybody out there how they can follow you, bro.
Y'all got me. I'm A-Rock Sealy, AROCKSEALY on Instagram, and I'm Amir Sealy on Facebook. Follow me. I'm usually hanging out with these gentlemen. I salute you all and thank you all for having me on the show as always.
Another great show today, gentlemen. Thank you all for doing the show. The show's called The Box Seat. It's on the channel called The Humor Mill. We're going to be out. And today, we ain't going to talk about nobody killing nobody while we roll it up out of here. Ain't that right, Fig?
That's right.
We out, y'all. Tomorrow, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. Same bat time, same bat channel. Peace.